Hi class, I just wanted to take a few minutes and kind of do one more review of the Rigerian argument strategy and how it kind of is unique from what we might be used to. So in terms of traditional argument, like you did with your definition essay, right, it's all about the four pillars, and it's basically one side presenting its case, and as long as you have good logic, right, you're good. This is my first reason, my second reason, my third reason. I'm going to win you over with my logic. A traditional argument has two separate sides, right? Two sides that oppose one another. And there's not a whole lot of emphasis on common ground, right? What the two sides might have in common. Now, this is what makes the Rigerian argument a little bit different. So look at these three things here. So you have an attempt to build common ground. Now, depending on the sides, depending on the issue, right, some cases will have a potential, right, for more common ground than others might, but still, there's always a place, I think, to at least take that into consideration. I use empathy, right? So common ground, empathy, and validating the opposition's beliefs. Now, if you stop and look at these closely, right, finding common ground, being empathetic, and validating a side that you don't agree with, I don't think there's a lot of that going on, right, in our world today. As far as I'm concerned, I don't think I've ever seen a time where, this country has been as polarized as it is these last few years. So I think this is a really good strategy, not just for an English 1D or a 103 class, but kind of something to take with you, right? Something to practice throughout the rest of your life. Okay? Okay, so when we're looking at the basic structure of the Rigerian strategy, we got 4 steps. Right? Step 1, you present the opposition stance, which is kind of interesting, right? We're not used to that. And not only do you present the opposition stance, but you validate some of their points. And then after you do that, you segue, you transition and present your stance, your thesis, and the benefits for both sides. And then finally at the end, that's when you're trying to build that compromise, looking for some common ground. Okay? So let's take a look at some examples here. So, when you're writing and you're describing the opposition side, you want to be cognizant of the type of language that you use. That's why I had you do that tone, right? Those tone activities. You want to be careful to use neutral language. Definitely not negative connotation, right? You don't want to evoke any negative vibes, right, in your reader, which is one of the reasons why you're kind of, right, you're going to kind of, you want to try to appease them first, right, by talking about what they are going to be into. So how do we do that? Well, we have our two sides, our pro bottled water and our against. So take a look at the pro bottled water. Okay. This is what you believe, right? Water bottles pollute the environment. The plastics they use are unhealthy. I read somewhere, that we all have some sort of level of plastic inside our bodies, right? Because of all the plastic and, right, all the different kinds of things that we use to consume liquid foods. Right? So step 1, right, the attempt here is to talk, right? We want to get the opposition willing to listen to us. And what better way to do that than to say, these are some valid points that you have. Okay? Step 2, you want to describe the context in which the opposing view is valid, like we just talked about. So avoiding bottled water does save money and reduce trash. This is a strong point. If families could save money by drinking tap water, the amount of trash in landfills and oceans would be reduced. These are all good things. And again, right, you're building up a lot of ethos with those who are on the opposite side of you. Then step 3, you're going to present your opinion and the benefits for the opposition if your views were adopted, right? So if you consider my views, this is what's going to happen. So notice the change here. Water is healthy and bottled water encourages people to drink water rather than soda. Maybe the point there might be kind of like a habitual thing. Keeping water in people's hands is good, and eventually people may recycle or reuse bottles. All right. Now, step 4, what can we do? What can we propose, right, as a compromise? How are both sides going to benefit? Well, why not this? If we develop the eco-friendly containers for reuse and recycling, this is going to take care of some of the concerns of those that are against the bottled water, and it's going to make those who are pro-bottled water happy as well because they're not giving up the bottle. They're just changing it a little, right? Okay. So that's what it's about. The Rigerian argument is, it's kind of like gathering your thoughts and exercising critical thinking. You may not know exactly where you stand on an issue until you start to consider the opposition, right? So I think this is a very fluid type paper, and I think it's a great way to think critically that will help us for years to come. So that common ground then, right? Got the pro-bottled water, the anti-bottled water. What do we come up with? Eco-friendly containers. All right, thanks for listening.